the ugly. Look at this. It's done. My Heuchkeliana. So when I came home last night, I looked at it closely and I saw and we're back. Welcome back. I am home now after 3 weeks. You may not have felt or noticed it because I kept posting consistently with pre-filmed videos. I hope you enjoyed the uninterrupted program. I came back last night about 11:30, and as you can imagine, one of the first things I did was check on my plants. And I honestly, full disclosure, I have seen them in video chat because my mom came a couple of times to take a look at them, but there's nothing like seeing your plants in person, right? So I took a look and we have some good, a lot of good, some bad. I'm not gonna lie, some ugly, very ugly. Let's take a peek and see what it looks like now. I'm just gonna give you a quick walkthrough. If you would like to see all of my houseplants, all of their names, every single one, I have a recent houseplant collection tour video. I will link it here so you can take a look. But for now, we're just gonna look at the highlights and the lows of how my plants are doing after 3 weeks without me. And then I'm going to do a takeaway. I have an entire video where I shared what I did to prepare my plants for this trip. I'm going to do a takeaway at the end just to comment on what I would do differently in the future, what worked really well. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Stephanie. I live in Canada, specifically Ontario, and I love talking about how I care for my plants on a budget. So if that's something you're interested in, consider subscribing. It's free of charge and you'll get to enjoy a lot of my content. Let's get started. We're currently in my plant room. I thought we'd start here because this is where I keep the majority of my plants. You may notice that I already have a plant in a bag. You may notice some differences. We'll get there. Let's get there. This is my Hoya Heuchkeliana, by the way, inner variegated. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's start with the ugly. I talked about the good, bad, and ugly. Let's start with the ugly. So you may recognize, or probably you may not even recognize this plant. This is my neon pothos. And before I go at it, I just thought we'd have a little walkthrough and see what happened. And yeah, this is the state of things. Thankfully, like I mentioned, my mom came to care or just take a peek at my plants while I was gone. I told her only water. She didn't have permission to do anything else because I wanted to give you all like as true of a picture. The only thing she did was take a bunch of cuttings so that I can salvage or rescue this plant. This situation is definitely, I believe, due to shock with light. I will go into detail in my takeaways that I'm going to share at the ending of this video. But again, this really attests to switching light conditions suddenly on your plants. This one struggled a lot. As you can see, it seems like we have some vines that are still viable in here. Let's see. I don't know. maybe not, but that's okay. Pothos or epipenums are very resilient, and eventually I'm gonna clean that up and start over. That's what we'll have to do, but it's a shame. This was a beautiful section. It was very, very nice of the cascading look. It was really good, but that's okay. So that's one of the casualties. Let's go back to where I lost leaves. So I lost a leaf here on this guy. This is my Hoya Gnengating, and I do believe this is because of inconsistent watering, because at some point we were on video chat and I remember her saying, oh, I missed this one, and I think she maybe couldn't see the indicator. This one can dry out pretty quickly, so I think it was allowed to dry out too much. So this is where we lost a leaf. Apart from that, it continued to push out this leaf and it continues to have new leaves growing there. A plant that I was suspicious would struggle because it was struggling before I left is still hanging in there. So that's good news. That's good. So everything else here is looking good. This I need to chop up and restart. This is my Hoya Walliniana, just a regular one. I don't think it likes this substrate, so I'm thinking eventually I'm gonna chop this up and just restart it in water cuttings. But again, I'm just so glad that it hung in there, that it didn't lose any leaves. It's still very wilted and still going through shock, but wow, it's resilient. This, I'm so glad. I knew it would be okay, but I was just a little worried because this dries out really fast and the moss pole dries out super fast. So when I came, I touched this and this was dry. It made a sound, like the moss was so dry, it has that rustling sound when it's dry. So I had to put some water in it, and again, because of the lower hours on the timer, the leaves aren't as variegated as they could be. Like these ones are nice. I'm trying to adjust it. All right, okay, so far I've been home for less than 24 hours, but this morning I went ahead and I increased the lights on my grow lights by 1 hour. Okay, so everything else did relatively well on this shelf. The alocasias were extremely thirsty. I thought they would be. I forgot to chop these off, these flowers. I really should, but I don't have a cutter here near me. These are doing well. And look at this, surprise, surprise. I knew during my plant collection tour, or a tour that I did, maybe my Alocasia collection tour, I noticed that there was a leaf that I didn't recognize that wasn't one of the usual plants in here. So I have a random fried egg in here. So these did well. My Heuchkeliana. So when I came home last night, I looked at it closely and I saw an aphid on it. So what I did immediately was took it to the tub to isolate it, and I sprayed it down with my horticultural oil. I get a lot of comments asking what I use for pest control. Horticultural oil is what I use, and I left it in there overnight, and then when in the morning when I got up, here's what I did. So last night when I got back and I spotted the aphid, a singular aphid on it, I brought it in here immediately and sprayed it down. I think you can even still see the aphid. I wanted to take a picture last night, but one, I was too tired, and B, I was too tired. All right, let's just see here. So can you see the aphid right here under my finger? I'm gonna take it off. You can sort of see it, but I think it's actually crumpled off my finger, like as if it was already disintegrating. So it could have been that it was one that was already dying even when I saw it, because I don't see any others. But last night I did see, I wasn't wearing my glasses, but I did see one or two things moving on it. They were very tiny. Even if I don't see anything else right now, and it could be because I did spray it down last night as soon as I got home, I will quarantine it. I have a bag. I'm going to put it in and put it right back into its spot, because this plant is so delicate. I don't want to risk quarantining it in any other light situation other than the lighting that it knows. So I know it does look a bit weird, and it does look, you know, weird, but honestly, I don't want to risk spreading even more. And I have not seen aphids on any other plant as yet, only on this one. And I only saw one adult aphid. Call me extra, I will take it. Because I was away for so long and I haven't had time to properly inspect every single plant, if this is ground zero, I don't want to risk it spreading on anything. Yes, it got a thorough treatment, but still, in case there are eggs hatching, anything, it also gives me a chance to properly observe it. This is my Hoya Kentiana. No idea what happened here. It looks to me as if my mom may have top watered it. I asked her, she said she didn't. So, Mina, no. I don't know what's happening here. It looks overwatered. It's dropping leaves like crazy. It's rotted. Look at this. It's done. It's done. Half of the plant is done. These were my favorite leaves because they were fully variegated. Well, I guess I couldn't expect these to last, so that was going to happen sooner or later. But it's rotted in here. Rotted. I think I could still salvage some of these. Yeah, we got, look at this. Yeah, not pests. Don't know. But it's whatever the issue is, it's on the inside and it's on one of the plants in here. Anyways, that's that. And then this one as well, I think she missed this plant when watering, because when I came this was bone dry and we lost a few leaves on this one. But that's okay, you just saw the mother plant. I have a backup, that's fine. Everything else here is doing well. Everything is okay. Again, no pests spotted, but I am going to go again and do multiple rounds of pest inspection. Like when I came, I think I have a picture to insert as well. I noticed, I think there were thrips or something black moving dots, spider mites maybe, but didn't look like spider mites. But as you can see, there's some damage here. This is a Hoya pollinera. So I sprayed it last night. It wasn't so big that I feel like I need to pull it away. I think maybe I should isolate it, but to me it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. And then I also went ahead and sprayed down everything else around here, just to be sure. I haven't seen anything on any of these other plants. But yeah, but now that I'm home, I'm definitely gonna be continuing to inspect every single day. I knew this one was gonna kick the bucket. I'm just here prolonging it, but the whole thing is yellow. This is a rime splash. I knew this was gonna happen. And everything else tolerated the time away. Okay, so my Anthurium, this is my Anthurium Heuchkeliana. This was already going. So when I left, I expected this to happen. So I'm just gonna take this out. This plant did absolutely nothing. It has a little shoot inside and nothing changed. Nothing. I have nothing to share except maybe more roots, but nothing else. And I just realized that I skipped past this area here. So in the back, my troublesome little one, this is my Heuchkeliana Super Silver. This thing was already throwing a fit before I left. So we have some leaves, but as you can see, it's still pushing out a bunch of blooms, a bunch of peduncles. It has 1, 2, 3, like a whole lot. It's definitely under stress, but I think this is its time of year for blooming as well, because I see a lot of people talking about this plant blooming right now for them. I'm not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna let it do its thing. We're sort of not on talking terms right now, so yeah. We're talking about plants that thrived. The plants that you would not expect to thrive is one that thrived, and that's my ZZ plant. I don't know. Remember, it was pushing out a bunch of new growth during my collection tour. Like the growth is still going strong. Like this one is massive. Look at this leaf. Like this shoot, this is huge next to my finger. I'm trying not to touch it since I was touching the plants upstairs, but the new shoots are still going strong. They're still doing well. Honestly, my mom watered it a bit more than I would have watered it, and so it seems to have liked it. She does have beautiful thriving ZZ plants, so this is a situation where it definitely prefers her over me. This plant would have still been okay if she had never watered it, because I actually didn't expect her to water it, but I think she watered it twice in the 3 weeks that I was gone, which is way more than I usually water this plant. So here's a plant that thrived. Another plant that always does better for me in the winter, shocking, so shocking, is my fiddly fig. Like, you would not expect, oh, okay, I need to turn it because it's hitting, the leaves are growing into, yeah. My fiddly fig always does really well for me in winter. Let me preface this by saying, not in the beginning, mid to late winter, it performs well. In the beginning, when we're starting to lose light, no. When we get into January, my fiddly fig picks back up again. And so, yeah, it has some nice new leaves that it's pushing out. Yeah, there we go. Some new leaves, some new growth coming in. The reason for that is, again, because like I mentioned, we have longer days. The sun is lower in the sky. These are south windows, so it enjoys this time of year. Wow. Now it's just showing off. It's literally just showing off now. How many new leaves is that all at once? This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness. 5, 6. It's just showing off now. Maybe it was happier without me. I don't know if it's trying to say that. I need to either chop it again or pull it back. Look at how it's hitting this. So I need to pull it back because it's literally going to bust through my windows at this point. And shocking. What shocked me the most is this cabinet. The plants in this cabinet thrived. They thrived. And this is the first time I've ever had a cabinet. So maybe this is common knowledge. Maybe everyone knows this, but there's literally nothing to say. No pests were found. I inspected every single plant. Well, not every single, but I inspected them well. The only thing is that I think my mom put a little too much water in this, so the reservoir was into the roots, so I had to throw out some water. So I lost some leaves in here. See a little bit of yellowing, mushy like leaves, and I was a little worried that I might lose the entire plant when I came and I saw it, but I immediately dumped out some of the water and put it back. This plant is super resilient, slow but resilient. This is a Lacnosa Bruno, or inner variegated. But yeah, everything's doing well. Plants were getting on crazy, like tendrils were growing out of the cabinet, so I had to pull them back in. This, as you can see, is still, so I need to take out the light, take this out carefully and do that. Plants down here were doing well. I was looking for peduncles. Two things I was looking for: pests and peduncles. Happily, I found no pests. Neither did I find any peduncles, sadly. But anyways, I got a lot of new growth. Like I mentioned, these plants seem to have enjoyed cabinet life. And I got some new leaves. This is a new leaf on my varicosum. It's pushing out another one back here. And then, remember, I chopped this recently. Another new leaf coming in here, and some other new leaves coming out from the baby plants that I've put in, right? So it is doing well in here. My Jose Buono seem to really enjoy this spot. Right now it seems to be trying to be growing as one with my with my Tycon. The two of them seem to be having a moment here because it's getting just lots of love off this grow light. And yeah, pushing out. Look at this leaf. Isn't this beautiful? Glossy new leaf. And it has another one coming out in here. I didn't intend for them to be intertwined, is a strong word, but I didn't intend for this. But they don't seem to mind sort of having their own little, you know, moment here. I don't know what to call it, but they seem happy, and I like it. I like it because it just, you've got foliage all the way from the bottom going up. Eventually I may take the Jose Buono and put it a little bit lower. I just don't want it on the floor. I want it elevated, but now it's a little too high. But anyways, and remember, I had a plant I tossed here. Because of thrips. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, check out my collection tour video. But in summary, a plant here had thrips. I took it out, put these two plants here, but I wiped down even the wall with my pest treatment, just in case there were anything on the walls. And I was a little worried that something may have started while I was gone. But no outbreak, nothing. I don't see anything like what was on the other one. But that is it for a walkthrough, just a quick update. And the plants in my bathroom are also doing well. Overall, I would say my collection, everything held up really well, thanks to my mom who gave it such great care while I was gone. In this video, I'm just going to go over some takeaways, things I want to remember for next time. So I'm going to save all of the repotting and pest treatments and whatever that needs to be done. I'm going to save that for another video. So stay tuned if you want to see that, and let me know what else you would like to see or whatever questions you may have in the comment section down below. Here are some of the things that surprised me. Let's start off with surprises. I was shocked by how well the plants in my cabinet did. They performed beautifully. Now let's give a little bit of context. I was gone for 3 weeks. My plants for 8 days were not touched. So no one, my mom, did not come to look at them for 8 days. And then when she finally came, we did like a video chat, and the plants in the cabinet didn't even need water. Even my thirstiest plants, the ones that like I'm just running after them a couple times a week, they didn't need any water. After 8 days, I was quite shocked by that. The whole reason that I wanted the cabinet was because I was hoping to slow down the watering process for plants that are very thirsty, and I was pleasantly surprised that it actually worked. I was also surprised at how much peace of mind I had on my trip, knowing that I did my best, I did all I could for my plants, and that I left it. I gave all I could. I couldn't do any more than that. While I was doing it, I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, Stephanie, you're going to be so worried about your plants when you leave. You're going to be thinking about them all the time. I was surprised at how much I wasn't obsessively thinking. And it probably helped that in pockets of time, I was editing videos. So it felt like I was looking at my plants as well. Maybe that helped. I'm not sure. But honestly, I do feel like as if I wasn't anxious at all. And I did miss my plants, but not as much as I thought I would. And no, I didn't have a camera, so I couldn't see my plants until my mom video chatted and showed me them. Doing all that I could in that prep video that I did, that gave me peace of mind, and that really surprised me. Now, here are some lessons. Here are some things that I wish that I did better in prep, and that's what I'm gonna do better next time. I need to leave my plants for a long time. Because I regularly treat my plants for pests, I thought, okay, let me just give them another regular treatment. Let me just give them another spray down, just a quick spritz. I should have done an in-depth treatment. And yes, that would have been so much work. And yes, that would have been a day by itself. But I think for 3 weeks, I think it would have been better to do that. And again, it helps that I treat my plants regularly, but pests started coming up that I had never seen before in my plants, like an aphid, a random aphid on my Heuchkeliana, trips on my Hoya polynera. I feel like it started out of nowhere. Could it be that pests got brought in? My mom has her own collection. Could they have come in on her? That's possible, but probably unlikely. I think if I had done an in-depth treatment, I would have probably come back to almost no pests. That's what I'm trying to say. But, you know, I guess you can never know that, but I would rather do a deep treatment. I think that would be better. So like spraying them down, going under every single leaf, not every single, but going under all the leaves and rubbing, and instead of just a light misting. If you are leaving or have anyone caring for your plants while you are gone, again, self-watering pots, hands down, a must, essential. And if someone is watering your plants for you while you're gone, in addition to doing all the things I did in my first video, make sure that you're telling that person to only fill up reservoirs. Do not top water plants in self-watering pots, except if they're in pond or some sort of semi-hydro setup. If they are in very highly water retentive medium like soil, or even like Molly's aeroid mix that's more water retentive than semi-hydro, you definitely want to just fill up the reservoirs, because that can lead to over watering. Hands down, it can lead to overwatering. Just make sure you always tell that person who's looking at your plants, caring for your plants for you, to fill up the reservoirs. Another thing, I knew it was going to bite me in the long run. You know, when you know something is a bad idea, but you do it anyway, and then, oh yes, it was a bad idea, and it comes back to bite you. A little bit, sometimes it's a little bit of overconfidence, because you think, oh no, that's not going to happen to me. That's not going to happen to this plant. That's what happened with me and my neon pothos. Again, I've told this story a couple times, but in case you haven't watched any of the other videos, in January, very early January, I was going away for the weekend, and I just thought, okay, I'm just going away quickly. The plants will be fine. So there's a window right in front of me here. I did not leave that window, the blinds open. I left the blinds closed. And I have some Sansi lights here. Usually my plants are on smart plugs with 13-hour timers. I needed that plug for something. So I just used the timer in this, and instead of going to the same 12, 13 hours, I dropped it to 8. And then, to make matters worse, this plant, this pothos, is used to me coming in every single morning. I work really early in the morning, and so by 5:30 in the morning, this headlight up here is on with grow lights in it, and it's accustomed to having these lights on, again, additional light, for at least 12 hours, and it had none of those. And so it went under extreme shock. And then to make things even more extreme, less than a week before I left, I repotted it. And so again, a list of things, a list of my don'ts back to back: drastically reducing lighting, repotting right before you leave where you can't monitor it. If I was here, I would have tried my best to save it. I would have left the lights on. And so that's a takeaway. I already knew that this was a bad idea, but I did it anyway. So yeah. Another thing is I have a lot of moss poles, and moss poles dry out really quickly. So I need in the future to have some sort of a drip setup so that my moss poles can dry out a little bit slower. And also for whoever is caring or whoever is just coming in and checking on them while I'm gone, they don't need to take them to the shower and spray them down and do all of that. All they would need to do is refill the cup or whatever the dispenser is at the top. I know I can get cups and poke holes in them and do that. I just haven't had a chance to do that yet. That's another takeaway. I mentioned this a little bit in the beginning, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Cabinets. If you are going away from your plants for anything more than 2 weeks, I think having some form of a cabinet or a higher humid environment, whether it be grouping your plants together in one space, especially in winter, if you live in Canada or you live in a country where the air gets really dry, or again, if you're traveling but no one can come and look at your plants for you, you need to have a way to really slow down the use of water, increase humidity to help the plants slow down the use of their water a lot more. So I'm going to get another cabinet. I'm trying to get the IKEA Millsbo wide cabinet because I also want to be able to put plants on top of it. It is actually no longer being sold in Canada, so I'm waiting on someone to put it up on Marketplace. Sadly, I've been waiting. I've been looking for like a month and a half, and while I was gone, like in the beginning of my trip, someone put something up for sale. And so I missed that. Just maybe 3 days before I came back, it was sold. I missed that one, but hopefully another one will come back on the market so I can get one so that I can put some more, especially my Hoya and my Anthurium. I think they would benefit. They can grow in ambient, but it takes a lot of pressure off of me to keep them in a cabinet. Another takeaway, this is sort of a pro and a con at the same time. I think cabinets are great for increasing humidity and protecting your plants from outbreaks. You have an outbreak while you're away, it's likely that the plants in your cabinet will be preserved. But if that outbreak starts in your cabinet, maybe it's a good thing in that the cabinet will contain them, but it will spread like wildfire in your cabinet. So yeah, this is my wrap up. This is my complete takeaway of me leaving my plants for 3 weeks. And this is what I learned from that entire process. This is what I would do differently. And I stand by everything I did in my preparation video. I think all of the things that I did were essential. I'm so glad I did them. Just a few things I would do better and would have done more of, but I think it worked out beautifully. And yeah, all of this is, again, not just for you, but for me. So when I travel again, for a long trip, I'm able to look back on this and have a record of what I need to do to keep my plants safe while I'm gone. And that's it for today's video. Please share with us, what are your best tips? What are the things you need to do when leaving your plants? What do you like to do? Share with us. Thanks again so much for watching this video. I appreciate the time you take to watch my content. Give it a thumbs up if you gained anything from it, if it was valuable to you. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.